Hey, Net Builders, thanks for joining us for another episode of Net Builders 360. Today, we have Adam Keller here. He's going to be joining us for a great episode, a bunch of value on the table, and I'm going to leave the floor over to him. You can give us an introduction.
Hi, man. Thank you for having me on. My name is Adam. My primary business is a party rental company. And then attached to that, I have a YouTube channel to teach people the same business. And then I have two other businesses which kind of work with the party rental business. We rent out restroom trailers and we rent out kitchen equipment. So we'll go set up a kitchen for the caterer who's doing an on-site thing where they don't have a kitchen. Then I own an Airbnb, which is a 12,000 square foot barn converted into a house that sleeps 30. And then I do affiliate marketing and stuff here and there. But that's me. My main business is tents and my main YouTube channel is tents. And I have another YouTube channel where I interview business owners, just kind of like what you do.
Where do you find the time for all of that?
I don't play video games. I don't, I get bored. So my hobbies are doing these kind of things.
Outstanding. So you're really honestly doing something that you really enjoy and creating wealth with it.
Yeah, I enjoy staying busy. I don't enjoy, all my friends play video games and I got away from that back in the original Xbox, the original Halo. Oh. After that, I started buying just tables and chairs and tents.
Okay, all right. So with tents, I think that you do something actually very noble, but something that's honestly, I think a lot of people shy away from, but you have a business and then you have a YouTube channel showing people how to do what you do. And
yeah.
A lot of people feel weird about that. Like it's kind of like they feel more powerful by keeping that knowledge to them.
Right. They don't want to share it because then they'll think competitors will pop up. But honestly, the event rental business, the party rental business is one of the biggest communities that shares everything. There's like 5 tent pages. There's like 10 bounce house pages. There's a restroom rental page, and you go join those. You ask questions, and you're way. If you're going to get into the business, you join those groups. There's 5 YouTube guys that do tents, and you watch those videos. You're going to be way ahead than if you just started from scratch. Because when we all began, we had someone who we could call. A lot of people don't just think of this business and they're like, oh, I'm going to do that. They either know someone in the business or they may have worked at a party rental company, and they may have learned stuff as they've gone. So there's always a lot of people just have someone. And if you don't, then there's all those people on YouTube and Facebook pages.
Gotcha. So you were one of the people that were fortunate enough to be able to have someone in your network to be able to, kind of guide you a little bit.
Yeah. So I started because when I was in college, my roommate worked for a very big company who had a store in Rochester, Buffalo, and then one in Orlando. And he's been working for them since he was like 14. So I'd occasionally work there. Then in the summer, I came home to my own hometown and started working for a rental company. And that's when I started seeing the bills, for the customer. I'm like, oh, I could do this. So my last 2 weeks of college, I bought 3 tents and did a paper ad. There was no, paper ad and phone book. There wasn't, all the other stuff to really just yet. And then I got home and started renting out 3 tents using my mom's SUV for the summer. Then over the following winter, I got several jobs. I worked like 60 to 80 hours a week so that for the following summer, I could have tables and chairs to go under the tents. And then I just started putting all this money back in. And then that same friend I was roommates with saw how well I was doing. He was basically running the other company, but they weren't treating him right. No benefits, no nothing. He's running their entire company. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna quit and do what you're doing. But he's been in huge, giant companies. So 2 years later, he's showing me his books, and he's like, look at this. This is because of weddings. This is because of a website. I was just doing small backyard parties. Mm-hmm. He knew the entire industry because he was in it so long. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna start doing weddings. So I started buying giant tents, and then quit my job. The same day I was signing for my house, I had to keep my job until I signed for the house, for the loan. Yeah. Signed the house, quit my job, and just did tents, tables, chairs, and everything full time.
Huh. If you don't mind me asking, you said you were finishing college when you bought your first? What did you major in?
Well, I started going for business, and I hated it because of accounting and business calc. I absolutely hated it. I was actually on a cab ride one day to go to a defensive driving class for tickets or whatever. Talking to the cab rider, like, I want to open a bar one day, this, that, that. I'm in business school. And he looks at me and goes, do you really need to go to business school to open a business?
That's
And
what I
I'm
was
like,
getting at. So I'm glad you hit it nail right on the head. I love
yeah, I was thinking like, no, you don't. So I was already too far in accounting and business calc. So I took the finals, but all I did was, it's business calc is just 10 questions, 10 pages. I memorized a whole bunch of math jokes. Why was 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. All those, wrote those down. The last page said, hey, I'm no longer a business student, but I couldn't drop the class. Can I just pass? Same thing with accounting. They passed me. So then I went on to get a video production degree because I thought that was fun, and a history degree just because my mom wanted me to have something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, you don't got to go to business school to open a business, people.
Thank you. Thank
Just
you.
read a book. Business school is more for like, you're going to be a manager somewhere. You're going to run someone else's company, but owning, like, maybe accounting is pretty good, but you could do an online course with that.
Definitely. Or outsource it.
Yeah.
Or yeah. But so what age were you when you left out of college?
22.
So that right there to me in itself is amazing, because at 22, I can honestly tell you, owning a business or doing anything that required some kind of a discipline was the last thing on my mind. So I kind of what was going through your head when you said, hey, I'm 22 years old. It's prime time to party and do every dumb thing in the world that I can do to mess up my life and spend my 30s fixing it. But you said, no, I'm 22. I am going to make this investment in myself and create a business. What was going through your mind at this time?
Well, we already did all the partying and crazy stuff, Jackass, right? So I was video production degree the same time they were on MTV. So we literally did stuff that they were doing, even worse, filming it all. I have like a YouTube movie that I made. It's secret, you can't find it. But so I got wasted. I did crazy stuff, got in fights, beat up bartenders because they wouldn't let me in, all that. So crazy stuff was behind. And I wasn't really thinking this was going to be a full-time, I'm going to have this business for the rest of my life. I was just like, I know how to do this. I can make extra money. So for about 4 years, I was just renting out the 3 tents, the tables and chairs that I had. And then I was like, then I saw an opportunity. I didn't like working for people because during those few years, I still had office jobs, or I cleaned hotels rooms at a casino. I just hated working for people. And then once my friend quit and got really, really big, he got really big in 1 year because he knew everything. I was like, okay, I can do this. So it wasn't really like, I'm going to go out and conquer the world. It was just like, I'm going to go get some extra money. And then it just evolved.
How was that evolution? Like, at what point did you realize, hey, this is what I'm here for. This is it. This is no more part-time. This is real. Like, what was the turning point where what got you there?
So I was renting trucks on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, because Fridays you do setup, Mondays you do takedown, and Wednesdays you do the big tents because they need time to set stuff up. I had already worked out with my office job a certain schedule. That we're driving, delivering some tents, and some guy calls and says, I need your biggest tent. I'm like, man, it's available. However, I don't have time. I just don't have time. I got everything scheduled. Everything was so regimentally scheduled that I could go to work and do the tents. And so I hung up on him, said bye. And I'm just sitting there. I'm literally screaming in the truck, like, God damn it, like next to my employees who are my friends, and just getting so upset about it. So I just, closing on the house in a few days. So I just call him up and say, hey, I can do it. So I just go into work the same day we're closing the house. And I say, I give my 2-week notice 2 weeks ago. Close on the house. Now I'm full-time.
Any fear? I mean, any fear at all? Like, because a lot of people have a difficult time making that transition. The way you say it, it sounds like it was very smooth. Like you were, like you weren't conflicted at all. Like it was just a real smooth transition.
No, I was at that point. The tent business was making around 80,000 a year. So even with 40,000, if I had 40,000 in expenses, there was still going to be more than my normal job.
Huh.
Like the only reason I kept working a normal job for however long it takes to close on a house was just so that we could close on the house.
Wow.
but it just slowly grew. But the thing people do, like anyone can start a tent company, people. It's pretty cheap. You can buy one tent, keep taking that money, putting it in and doing more. And until the point you build it up really big. It takes time, but anyone can do it. It's not a difficult business. But what most people do is, they get that tent, they get an extra $400 for that weekend. They go out to the fair, they go to the bar, they buy a new TV or whatever. The hard part is not doing that and putting it in, especially when you're a 22-year-old kid. Every single weekend I had an extra $1,200 in my pocket, and I wasn't exactly legal yet. People were just paying me cash. So that's a hard thing to do. You got $1,200, kids are going to go spend it.
Where'd that discipline come from? Because sometimes I even have problems with that right now. Like I get extra money and sometimes it really burns my pocket. Like I have to hide it from myself. So, so where did that I can't imagine that it was just, was that just always how you were to just say, hey?
Yeah, it was just always how it was. If my friends ordered pizza, pizza slices and they didn't want the crust, I'm going to eat their crust because why are you going to waste that money? Like I was just always pretty good with money. Yeah, so I didn't have desires for fancy things. Me and my friends group weren't Abercrombie and Fitch. This is in the 90s, Abercrombie and Fitch, Aeropostale, looking cool. That was looking cool back then. I didn't ever have a desire to look cool or be cool. We thought we were cool, that was good enough. So just money was a different thing for me. It was never material possessions or anything.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a very unique mindset. It's very, very rare. And so let's talk about your Airbnb. Like what took you over there?
Okay, so for the past 15 years, literally the first year I started my party rental company, we delivered tents to this barn. It's a 12,000 square foot barn converted into a house. So it's basically a mansion inside of a barn. The former owners used to live there for a little while. So every year we were there for some sort of party, graduation, little party, whatever. Then they started doing Airbnb. So then we were there more often, doing other weddings or little parties or more tables, more chairs. Then one Valentine's Day 2 years ago, 2 years now, we're dropping off some very fancy tables. And the Airbnb customer there is like, oh, they're selling this? I'm like, no. And she goes, oh, take a walk around. Because I've only ever seen the first floor when you walk in the door, get paid, leave. I was really interested in seeing the whole place. So I'm walking around this place. I get up to the third floor and I'm like, I'm buying this place. I'm doing it. So I walk back downstairs. I tell the lady who's renting it, I'm like, hey, next time you rent this place, you're renting it from me. She laughed. She doesn't know I'm the owner of the company. I got tattoos. I don't look, what I am. So she laughs. And then 2 days later, we're starting the process of closing. I brought 2 people on with that because they were trying to sell it for $700,000. We ended up getting it for $520, but it was just easier to get a loan with 2 other people. Plus, I'm so busy other places, they basically run it. So I was kind of like the money man for the down payment. They're paying me back. But yeah, so it's right now we rent it out as an Airbnb that allows events. So mostly it's just like, people who graduated college, their friends groups, they go up there, family reunions, just those kind of parties. People rent it for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, to have, 30 people there instead of at their house. But we allow events. And since I own tents, we tell them to rent from my company. We don't necessarily say, they find out. And we just say, there's no discounts because it's separate ownership kind of thing. It's weird. And then we go set up tents and let them do events. And inside, though, the dining room seats 50 people. So they can do an event for 50 people without, getting tents outside.
That full circle service, was that something planned? Like when you got the Airbnb, it was like, college area, tents. Like, was that something you already predetermined?
Yeah, however, it didn't work out the way we wanted to. What we wanted to do was have them rent it from Thursday through Monday. We were going to put up a tent and keep it up all summer. It's not really the tent. They're called structures. They're much more heavy duty.
Okay.
But they stay up all summer. And we're going to have a shed with all the different kinds of tables and chairs that anyone could want. Well, what we found was people were calling us up and they're like, no, we only want it Saturday for the hours that we want it. Oh no, that tent's too big. We don't want to pay that much. We were just getting a lot of pushback. and they weren't getting our vision, because I delivered to barn venues. There's a lot of barns around me that were converted into venues, not like mine, but the barn's big and open. They redo everything and you have your wedding there. They pump weddings in and out Monday or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I show up late at night to pick up my stuff there, and bride's crying, groom's getting in a fight with the owners because they're kicking them out and saying, if you don't get out of here in the next 20 minutes, we're charging you an extra X thousand amount of dollars.
Wow.
They're what we call wedding mills. So we had a vision that, you know, you get it from Thursday to Monday. It's nice and relaxed. It's cool. Your family comes. We're not rushing you in and out. There was just a lot of pushback. So we just turned it back to, it's an Airbnb. If you want to have an event, you're allowed to. We're not manning it. We're not doing anything. This is how much extra we charge, because we got to put in the parking lot for handling events. They still come Thursday, so they have all day Friday to set up. And then Sunday, they have to stay till Monday morning, because Sunday they need to clean all day. They're not allowed to check out on Sunday at 11 a.m., which is our checkout time. We tell them, no. If you're doing a wedding, we are required to rent it for 4 daes.
Gotcha.
Everyone else can just rent it for 2 days if they want.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's more cleanup for a wedding.
Yeah, we tell them our cleaners are not like maids. They just come and wipe stuff down, do the laundry, do the normal cleaning that a hotel room is going to do. Your party needs to look like it's not there. And then I tell people, like, I don't care what you do here, as long as when I come in, I know you didn't do it, or, you know, I can't see that you did it.
Don't leave any evidence.
Yeah. So we're trying to get more Airbnbs, because it's like, it's such easy money. Like if I had a house that I was renting to people, you just get a little bit more than your mortgage, right? That's not a lot of cash flow. That's the long term. 30 years later, your renters have paid off your mortgage, then you sell your house, and then you get a big chunk of money. Airbnb, you rent it out, depending on the price, area, location, whatever. Your first 7 to 10 rentals pays the mortgage. The other 21 to, you know, what odd days is all profit. You know, the first 7 to 10 days pays your mortgage, your bills, all that stuff, and then the rest is just money in your pocket.
Outstanding. Yeah.
So it makes a little more money than renting out, but they're different models, though, I guess.
No, that business model actually makes a lot of sense. So how you? It sounds like you have a lot of things going on. How hands-on are you with all of your businesses? Like, are you like
right? So
all over the place? Like,
yeah. So the tent rental business is my main business. I have an office manager there. He handles all the phone calls and everything. I'm on the road with one crew. I have another guy who's on the road with another crew. So 6 guys are on the road each day. So I'm just setting up tents. I'm not handling phone calls and stuff. He's basically handling the business. I obviously handle paying the bills and all that, but he handles all the customer, everything, getting our orders. I don't know anything that's happening until 7 days before. I always am 7 days ahead. That I don't know anything until that. The restroom trailer business, I went in that with partners because I don't want to be dealing with it. Yes, it is part of the rental business, but I didn't want to be dealing with poop. So
fair enough.
I went in that with my office manager and our other friend. So they deliver them, they pick them up, someone comes and pumps it. We never really see poop, but I just didn't want to deal with it. So I own 30% of that, but I don't do any of the work. The catering side, where it's the dishes and the tent for the caterer and stuff, I gave one of my very good employees, I gave him equity in that too. So we were 50-50. Now I'm down to 30-70. He cleans all the dishes, and because he has an interest in it, the dishes are the cleanest dishes you've ever seen. Other rental companies, you know, you're just paying someone hourly. Yeah, there's some problems here and there. So he's doing like 10,000 dishes, 20,000 dishes a weekend, but they're all perfect. And then they go out. So those 3 companies kind of work in tandem.
You figured out something like, I think you figured out like the golden key for business owners.
Right. You give equity to someone that you trust. Because they have equity in it, they are going to value it and do good work. And then you get money still too.
Yes.
Plus these people were my friends too. So I'm like helping them out in their station in life.
No.
And then the Airbnb, the same 2 dudes who are the restroom trailer with me, my office manager and our other friend, they do the Airbnb. The one guy is good at maintenance work. You know, he's a construction guy. And then my office manager, it's easy to do Airbnb. It's just all on your phone. So he'll just answer questions, book people, keep track of things.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that you're able to work with friends as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't able to balance that, or family, a lot of people aren't able to do that. So I think that's really cool that you guys are, it seems like y'all are like-minded,
Yeah. I do know that there's, people can have issues with the guy who does the dishes. There was like 2 years where we were having issues, but we worked through it. There's going to be issues when money and work is involved, because like I don't do anything in that business, but I'm still getting 30%. So he was getting a little mad. And I'm like, well, I put up all the money. That's how investing works.
Fair
Like
enough.
I'm getting my 30% every week, but that's not paying me off. This wasn't a loan. This was an investment. And it took some time for him to understand that. But it can get difficult. Fortunately, that was my only difficulty.
I think you handled it very well.
Right.
So have you ever read The E-Myth?
No.
So it's a book by Michael E. Gerber. I won't get into the specifics, but it seems like you grasp it a lot, even though you haven't read it. You're able. The reason why I asked how much you put your hands into the business and how hands-on you are, I think it's amazing that you're able to break the manager advocate curse, because a lot of business owners can't let go of any task. Like they feel like they have to be everywhere all the time. But for you to be able to say, I have a business office manager, and I don't know half of the stuff that happens until 7 days later. You know how crazy that drives some business owners?
Yeah, no, I understand. So in the very beginning, it was me and 2 dudes working 60 hours a week, setting up tents, because I didn't want to give up anything. I had a meeting with one of my tent manufacturers. They come around and they take you out to lunch because you buy stuff or whatever. And he was saying to me, he goes, it's hard to give up any task, but the next task you give up gets easier, and the next one is easier and easier and easier. So I gave up, running a crew. Now we sent 2 crews out, so we were working 60 hours a week, and that was hard. I had to check up on him and whatever. But then, it was great. A few years later, I give up my job of answering the phones and doing all the emails. I'd come home every night and do 3 hours of that. And then it got easier. And then it's like, all right, you guys are going 2 hours away. Just get out of here. See ya. You just start giving up things. It's hard, but it gets easier.
Gotcha. Do you guys outsource to any external companies at all for anything you do?
Yeah. So if I have a wedding that is $5,000, I have everything, but I'm missing 50 chairs because they're rented other places for that same weekend. Am I going to say no to that $5,000 wedding because I don't have the stuff? No. I'm going to say yes, and then I'm going to go to one of my competitors, which we all try to be friends, and sub-rent those 50 chairs. And they do the same thing with me. They may be short 5 tables. Let's get 5 tables from Adam. And it just goes back and forth. And then some of them at the end of the year, we just keep a tally, like, hey, you rented 1,000 from me, I rented 1,200 from you, I owe you $200 kind of thing. Instead of going, case by case. But yeah, you have to. But I think you're more getting along the lines of say we don't do staging, but the customer needs staging. Yeah, we may pay a staging company to come in to do that, or some more specialized things that we don't necessarily do. All party rental companies, there's just going to be some things they don't do, and they will call in someone else to do it.
I like how cohesive your industry is. I don't see that in other industries. I'm in the financial industry, the business coaching industry, and the credit repair industry, and there is no friendship, no alliances there at all. It's like, hey, I need help with this, get lost, So yeah. I love how you guys have that cohesiveness in your industry,
Yeah, well, a lot of events cannot be done just by one person. Like us tent company people, we're kind of dirty. We got dirty hands. We put up the equipment. People aren't going to want to trust us with nice drapery and fancy tablecloths and stuff. The wedding planner comes in and does that. And now maybe you want some really crazy lighting. Not everyone's going to have that. So now you get another person to come in to do that. A lot of events have a lot of people that come in to make it look like you see when you are looking at a wedding magazine or Pinterest or whatever.
Hmm. And how do you so now that you mentioned Pinterest, how do you typically social media marketing? Do you do a lot of and I ask this because this is a question that a lot of people ask, so I try to
Yeah.
remember to work this topic into some of my interviews. Um, content, like are you more of a educational? Because well, you do have your YouTube, so you do provide a lot of education there.
Yeah, that's nothing to do with my business though. They're separate because one, the YouTube is speaking to other business owners. I don't necessarily need customers watching some of the stuff I say on there.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
All right.
All right. So for social media, I imagine Facebook, Instagram, because I mean your business is a very visual based business. People want to see
Yeah.
the things. So do you go through setting up or you educating them or just showing them, hey, this is what it looks like, you know?
I'm going to disappoint you with nothing. For any business that is starting now, like if you're starting today, yes, you need that. You need to get it out there. But since I started at the Advent and built a website not too long after Google AdWords, I immediately made a my Google, it's probably called something different back then, Google business page. So over time, that is just naturally at the top of my list. I was the only one that had a website out of everyone in my area. I'm the only one who has pictures and pricing on my website out of everyone, still to this day. So my website is the number one thing. So the only thing I spend money on is Google AdWords, because this is not like a bar or a restaurant where you're trying to get people to come to me, come to me. This business is, you need to be there when they search, because they're not just, they can't hear a radio ad and be like, oh, I'm going to get a tent because I heard such a great radio ad. No, they need a tent. So they search, then they see you. So you're in this kind of business, you want to pay to be on top of the search, and then so that when they call, you're there to answer.
People don't stumble upon you like they have to. They're specifically looking. Like I bet.
Yes.
Yeah. That
This
makes sense.
business is a specifically looking for business. I tried radio ads. I paid for some Facebook ads, but the number one thing is pay to be seen so that you're there when they call.
I bet you get a lot of word of mouth too.
Yes, after so many years, yes, you get word of mouth. A lot of repeat people because, they might have 4 kids graduating. I did someone's graduation my first year. Last year, we did her daughter's wedding. The lady loves me. She calls me and talks to me and says, oh my God, I'm so glad you're doing so well. She saw me from the beginning. So yeah, there's a lot of that. And as long as you just do good work, everyone's having a party. Someone's having a party, first birthday, wedding, graduation. There's always graduation parties. They'll just say, hey, where'd you get your tent? And then it just, so yeah, I don't mess around with it. I don't mess around with Facebook. I do post things. Like if I take down a wet tent and I know that tent's not going out for 2 weeks, it should really only be wet for a few days. I'll put on Facebook, hey, 20 by 30, half off, so that I can go get it and put it back up. But I don't market with it. I pay to be the top for when they search, because that's how this business works.
And I think that's actually very insightful for you to say, because a lot of business owners, they try to spread themselves through every social media platform, but you know what works for your industry. You have an understanding of your market.
Right.
So hey, if I want to be found, this is exactly where I need to be all the time. And a lot of business owners go, all right, I need to be everywhere at one time, Instagram, Facebook, and your
Radio.
market's not there.
Yeah. Like a bar needs the radio. They're going to have bands playing. They need to say, hey, we're this big party place and we got this kind of music and let's go there. And restaurants, but a lot of places shouldn't have radio ads. Fixed locations, radio ads. And so social media definitely can be work. Social media could work for my business very well. Like if you're especially starting out, you need to get your word out there. You need to brand yourself that you have clean stuff or whatever. But honestly, I don't need to waste my time with it. I get phone calls every day for people trying to run ads for me and this and that. And they get offended because I say, hey, listen, I don't need you. If I spend an extra $10,000 with you, it's not going to bring me any more business than I can. Well, it's going to bring me more business than I can handle.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't need to pay you to bring me business that I just am going to say no to.
Well, you're in a unique position You know,
Yeah.
pre all of this Facebook and social media, you started your business and you have something that a lot of business owners forgot, and actually a lot of people forgot: the ability to actually interact with somebody face to face.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you, before the era of Facebook, oh snap, people used to do handshakes, like literally touch each other's hands and shake them and say, hi, how you doing? You know, people went to a bar and asked a girl out on the date.
Right. Right.
But that era is like completely lost, and it's lost for humanity right now. But you were able to make that transition, and also you can get in a potential client's face and have a conversation with them.
Yeah. We for weddings, we do have to go out on site sometimes to measure. And usually whoever goes out on site is the one that gets the job. Yeah, it's just different. It's like I said, this is a service that people are looking for when they need it. Kind of like if you were a plumber, you don't literally need to throw ads everywhere and stuff. You just need to spend enough money on Google AdWords that when someone's searching for a plumber, you're guaranteed to be at the top. I mean, you could do $5 a click and still save way more money than you're going to do in other kinds of advertising. You'll always be guaranteed to be the top plumber on there to get all the phone calls. Service industry businesses are a little bit, hands-on service like plumbing, construction, tents is a little different than like brick and mortar stores where you're trying to get people to come to you.
Definitely.
Right.
Well, Adam, I appreciate you coming on the show today. We're about out of time. What should be the biggest takeaway for our audience today?
Okay, so everyone needs to know what business they are in. You're talking to me. What business do you think I'm in? What's my main business?
Your main business is tents.
Parties? Like
Parties. Yes. Parties,
okay.
events, facilitating them.
Okay. I'm not in the party business. I am in the material handling and logistics business. I need to get stuff from the warehouse to the truck, from the truck to the site, set it up, and then get it all back in the reverse order. I'm not there for the party. We're just setting up the venue, the tent, the whatever. So if I focus on trying to be a party company, I'm missing the point. I need to focus on how do I get this stuff done faster? What tools do I need to buy? Let's get some jackhammers. Let's get some carts. Let's get some forklifts. Let's get everything on wheels. Let's get a truck with a lift gate. Let's make sure our maps and our routes are good so that we can make a loop instead of going all over the state. That's the business I'm in: material handling, logistics, delivery. I'm not a party company. And once you understand what business you're in, then you can focus in and you make a whole lot more money.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's actually the best answer I've ever gotten from that question before.
All right.
Seriously. Adam, how can our viewers contact you, follow you on social media whenever you're on there? But how can they get in touch with you?
So I got that YouTube channel. Just type in The Tent Guy. I got another YouTube channel. It's called How I Started. It's about businesses. And I do have an Instagram for The Tent Guy. But honestly, guys, I don't answer them because I get a million questions a day on how to do their tent business. I have Patreon for that. I had to narrow it down. I couldn't be answering 5,000 people a day. I narrowed it down so that I can focus on people who are, it's not much. It's $12 a month or whatever. So I had to narrow it down. But so I may answer. I do comment on the YouTube comments, but if you send me an Instagram message, I'm sorry. You just heard me talk. I don't got time.
How about a website?
So yeah, I don't give out my personal website for my business. I don't need, because it's a local business. But the main thing is the Tent Guy YouTube channel. Gotcha. I can teach you how to start a business, because you could start this business for free. I know we didn't get into that, but this is a business you could start for free and work your way up.
Outstanding. Well, thank you, Adam, for joining us today. I really, really appreciate it. I actually learned a lot, and I know my viewers did as well. So
thank you.
Net builders, you guys keep networking, keep building your businesses, and we'll see you next time.